Um, Mostly I've just spoken to them out here. I haven't gone in to actively seek them. Haven't needed to. The reason for that is because they have been straightforward with me as best they can. And very forthright with their intentions. I just spoke to one of the management team today. His name is Caleb. And I spoke to another manager a couple of weeks ago. Same situations. Anyway, the one I spoke with today, he was telling me that management here, as well as the other folks that work here, they don't have a problem with me. They say I'm harmless, which I'm not. I got a big mouth. But other than that, I'm not out to hurt people, and people have been hurting me. So he informed me of a few of the issues that they had with Molly. Apparently, I got lucky. I'm allowed to come back here, and I have pretty well, I've got a safe place. Molly's not allowed here anymore because she decided she was going to go in there last week and crack a beer in the store. Tom pays for pretty much everything with her, and that's one of the reasons why she's so controlling of him. And I told that to a couple of folks here. The guys here have a messed up way of thinking, you might think, but the ladies here said exactly the same thing. Well, if he's paying for all that, he better at least be getting a blowjob. And I'm thinking to myself, hearing that out of both men and women, and that is frequent. Sexual favors are, I think they're horrible. I don't believe that helping somebody out means that they owe you a BJ. I didn't make Tom give me a blowjob, did I? Of course not. And see, that's one of the things where Mahalia Jean-Pierre, when she was in Richmond, Virginia, she's got a brand new baby boy, and she spent all of her money so that she could rent a place long enough for me to get there and get her the hell out of there. She rented the place, and she was hoping that this guy was her friend and that things were going to turn out well. And no, after 2 weeks, he told her her money wasn't enough and she owed him a blowjob. I'm not okay with that. Management here, they are not uncouth like that, even in the least bit. Some other people in town, especially younger folks, they very much have that mentality of sexual favors are to be expected and delivered. No. I have never helped anybody out with the intention of getting a blowjob. I have never helped anyone out with the expectation of getting a blowjob. And I sure as hell am not going to ask somebody for a blowjob. Not interested. If you need help, you need help. Sex just gets in the way. Sex gets in the way of helping yourself and helping others. See, a lot of people, when I say sex boils brains, it's not just sex. Just the thought or idea of sex boils brains. Natalie Bollinger had more expectations out of me than I was able to give her or willing to. By the time Natalie came into my life, I was not interested in having a girlfriend. I was interested in people understanding that almost everybody that I know is coupled up with somebody. And the reason that they have what they have is because they were coupled up with somebody. Now you guys got to look at the mathematics of that. When you're coupled up with somebody, well, you're saving money. Unless you're with somebody like Molly. When you're coupled up with somebody, people are less likely to victimize you because you're with someone. And no, you can't be with that person all the time, but you're with that person enough that it reduces your risk of harm. reduces your risk of victimization. There's also the fact that let's say you make $1,500 a month and your significant other makes $1,500 a month. Well, that's $3,000 a month. Now let's say your rent at your apartment is $800 a month. I know that's less than half of what most of you are paying, but let's just pretend that $800 out of your $1,500 is for your rent. And then you've got your utilities, extra $400, so you're at around $1,200 right there. And then you got your car insurance, your food, and your gas. If you need anything else, good luck. So, considering that rent is almost double that, obviously one person making $1,500 a month is not enough to pay that. If they're with someone else, though, and those bills are all cut in half because somebody else is paying part of them, yeah, some of those bills are going to go up a little bit. Your water bill will go up. Your electricity bill will go up. But the most significant portion of both of those bills is that basically there's a starter fee. For example, the garbage in Chapel, Nebraska, that's $50 a month for that bill. And I don't think it's just garbage, but it's $50 flat rate. When it comes to the water bill, you're looking at $50 automatically right off the top. You're paying $50 just for having the service. And then, of course, you have to pay by the gallon after that. And that's every month. Every month, the $50 fee for the service, or I think it's like $35 for the service and $15 for the processing. When you've got two people who are living in the same household, instead of you guys both renting different places and paying two different sets of overhead, you are reducing that down to one. Mathematically, you are making it a lot easier to have something for yourself. Candace Bondurant wanted to tell me about all the stuff that she got while she was with James. She also wanted to tell me about James being an abusive asshole. I don't fall for every story, every sob story, or every story of a beating, especially when it's someone like Candace Bondurant who's got a history of being dishonest with me and others, so to be expected, right? I don't think it should be expected. Now, a lot of people exhibited behaviors towards me that were harmful, very harmful. Now, even with the folks over there at Fred Meyers and the management believing that I'm harmless, and, you know, as far as hurting others, I'm not interested. It's not going to happen. But I had yelled over there because of Molly. And we discussed today about how really they don't have much of an issue with people down there flying the sign. It's when it becomes a problem and somebody has to go out there and talk to you because you're being a problem. Let's say you're drunk and belligerent or something like that. Well, the reason they came out and talked to me is because Molly tried to break into the building, pretending that I was victimizing her. The folks at Fred Meyers are not going to allow her back. Apparently she was kicked out of there a few years ago too. She had been in the area and it was a situation where she was going in, not buying nothing, and I can't remember exactly what it was she was supposed to have been doing. Scott tells the story on my YouTube channel, so it's in one of the videos where he's talking with me. The thing is, I'm not interested in hurting people, but people keep hurting me over and over and over again, and I try to get help, and then I have a fucking panic attack. Panic attacks don't just show up for no reason. You guys are trying to sell us that bullshit. No. There are some people who are dumb enough to fucking play along for you guys, and they make it worse for all of us by playing along. That's kind of like the character played by Samuel L. Jackson in the movie Django. Or, of course, the black KKK members in the state of Colorado in the 1920s and 30s. That's right, folks. There were black members of the KKK. It was a political party. Anyway, happy birthday to me, right? The guy that I talked to today, his name is, hold on a second, Caleb. And I talked to him for a few minutes. He said that there was a 18-year-old girl in the parking lot, and that Molly had gotten in between that girl and her door on her Mustang, or not on her Mustang, in between her and the door on her vehicle, and the girl was scared enough to go say something. See, that's something there. You know, a lot of women are just paranoid of anything with a penis. But when a woman is scaring you enough that you go talk to the Fred Meyers folks, yeah, they're a lot more likely to listen. And then with Molly going in there and cracking a beer open in there, that's not the brightest thing she could have done. He also told me about his first interaction with Tom. It was Tom, that was the very first day that all this started. And I told Caleb that. I said, that's the day all this started. The day before, he was trying to fucking get away from her, and he wanted to put his stuff next to my vehicle and cover it with a tarp. She came over and put a bunch of garbage and rotten meat next to my vehicle and fucking was real shitty to me. That's because I was helping Tom out. So what happened that day? Well, Tom had all of his stuff next to my vehicle, and he didn't want her to recognize him, so he put a blanket over his head while he slept in a chair next to my vehicle. Apparently Caleb's the one that went out and talked to him. Anyway, Tom slept in my vehicle a couple of nights after that, down at the Blue Heron, also here in the Fred Meyer parking lot. It wasn't comfortable for me. It wasn't comfortable for him. And it was hell for me to move things so that I could make room for him and his stuff. Now then there's stuff that he took. And I was accused of being a thief by Molly. And of course, when it turned out that stuff wasn't stolen, she accused me of stealing other stuff that turns out that wasn't stolen either. Then she wanted to accuse me of stealing some zip ties that I'd literally just found on the ground right next to a fucking construction dumpster. There was a bunch of them out there. So then she tries accusing me of stealing her zip ties. And then she goes telling Tom that she's afraid I'm going to zip tie her up and rape her. Molly is one of, well, over 175,000 women in this country who have been taught that this is acceptable, this is okay. They've been taught that they will get away with it, and they do get away with it, and you can see plainly and simply why. What she did to my vehicle and what she did to me goes far beyond anything civil. Just like Scott DaCosta, that goes far beyond anything civil. There is nothing civil about what Scott DaCosta did. He broke the law repeatedly to hide the crimes of him and his deputies and to gain access to the evidence and to prevent me from turning that evidence in. Of course, Nebraska State Patrol had gone out of their way for, well, since 2018 till present, to not do a goddamn thing about it, to ignore the situation or to threaten, harass, and intimidate me. And that's not fucking okay. Talking nice doesn't mean that you're not harassing someone. Doesn't mean that you're not going out of your way to be intimidating. When you blow off an at-risk adult and you're a mandated reporter, What you are stating loud and clear is that you want that person to be harmed, and you don't care if you have to break the law to see it happen. By not doing your job, you are breaking the law. Just like the officers that I spoke with here, as well as the mandated reporters I spoke with here. Now, I got to go up and talk to 2 different churches, I guess, this morning. I hope I have the gas. Obviously, the people at Fred Meyers are not giving me any sort of hassles or troubles, and they're not trying to give me any hassles or troubles. They haven't threatened me or anything like that. When they came over and talked to me, they didn't threaten me with the police. They did what they're supposed to do. See, that's the thing. If there's a problem, you need to let the person know there's a problem. Now, when it gets to the point where it is well beyond that, that's when you go for help. When you want to fucking pretend that every homeless dude is a horrible person because you're fucking paranoid. You're paranoid. You're paranoid of everything with a dick, and you're even more paranoid of junkies. So now, you being taught that all homeless males are fucking junkies and pedophiles and rapists and shit like that, you're not very fucking good to us. You don't care if we're guilty or not. We must be guilty we're homeless. We must be guilty. If nobody else cares about us, it must be because we're guilty. No, nobody else cares about us because they've been taught the same shit as you. Miss Peaches, she had me convinced and believing that she was homeless at one point in time. But then I met her mother, and her mom told me the truth. Miss Peaches was never homeless. Ever. She was just slumming it. Now, as far as true crime goes, there's a lot of people who are into true crime. Most of them are alcoholics and addicts. And when they wanted to get actively involved, they weren't actively involved in anything except helping my predators. I shouldn't have had to go to alcoholics. I shouldn't have had to go to drug addicts. The cops should have done their jobs when I went to them. Why didn't they? Because I had to go in alone. Why didn't DHS do their jobs? Because I had to talk to them alone. Why didn't Jen Beebe do her job? Again, I had to go in alone. Why didn't Nicole Peralta do her job? Because I had to go in alone. Why didn't Marcia Estrada do her job? Because I had to go in alone. Why didn't Penny Cooper do her job? Because I had to go in alone. Why didn't any of my public pretenders do their jobs? Because I had to go in alone. Nobody ever bothered to try helping. Nobody made any effort whatsoever to turn this shit into the cops. And then they want to lie to me. Brandon Ratner did not try to turn shit into the cops, or he'd have spoken up about it in fucking court. He would have tried to get fucking heard. And when I say with me, I mean with me. The cops are able to pretend that none of this shit happens because none of you are coming forward about it. Even if you did write a police report, where's the proof? And why didn't you speak up? God damn, I am not going to be able to get this fucking thing lit, am I? Oh, happy day. On the bright side, I got crack torches. I hate them. Hate is such a strong word. Absolutely. Wendell McPhee said that to me a lot. Hate is a strong word. You goddamn right it is. I hate being abused. I hate it. When someone says that's a strong word the way that Wendell says it, it's because he doesn't want to hear the word hate. Let me tell you something about subservient environments, predators, and being the good guy. Over at Wendell McPhee's, he's got a friend of his named Rod Hickey. Rod Hinky. Rod wouldn't stop using the N-word, much like that guy from Hood River who followed me here. Rod Hickey is an asshole. I gave him a ride to the hospital once because Wendell wasn't able to. Wendell actually came and picked me up because that was a fucking shitty situation. We'll not get into that. Let's get into the point. With Rod using the N-word, I said, Rod, I don't like that word. I don't like that word. When he'd start using the N-word, I'd tell him I don't like it, and then he'd use it a whole bunch more. And it was in Wendell's house. And Wendell didn't like it, but he wasn't saying nothing. I was saying something, and the guy was going off more. Well, Wendell's not a racist asshole. And he did eventually get sick of it. Now, obviously, if Wendell had spoken up, it's Wendell's house that we're in. So I and Rod are both his subservients. We're in his environment. He's the one who has rights. If he wants to tell you you can't come back, it's his right to do so. So it was probably the third or fourth time that Rod was over there being a racist asshole, using the N-word. And I said, I don't like that word. And Rod started using the N-word, and immediately Wendell spoke up loudly. He said, I don't like it either. And guess what happened? Rod Hinky stopped using that word at Wendell McPhee's house. I don't have an environment where I am not subservient. Low income, I was subservient to a woman who was in the newspaper because there were actual protests launched against her and her boss. She was in charge of the properties in Sydney and in Chapel, Nebraska. Things were bad in Chapel too. I had multiple neighbors. They always complained to me. Always complained to me. I don't know why they complained to me instead of going in with me to make my complaints and make their complaints. We can do both at the same time. There's a lady named Kim, and she finally moved out of there, but fuck, she bitched every day. They fucking gave her hell. And she was going to try to take them to court, but then somebody died, and she was able to get a settlement from them and get the fuck out of low income. Then there's Bob Long, and he's telling me, well, Cindy can't impose those rules on you. That's not what's in the handbook. She can't tell you to do something that's not in the handbook. And I explained to him, dude, it's her word versus mine. If she decides to kick me out because I didn't follow her rules, I don't have anyone that's going to stick up for me. It's just me. Bob was real into guns. And yes, he had loaded firearms in the low-income apartments. And when his father died and he inherited that property, he moved out of low income. Lots of inheritances. You can see that. Lots of people with family that helped them so they didn't lose everything. Instead of family that procrastinated until they lost everything, gave them a fucking little token of, hey, haha, but here you go. Like when you need $50 to cover your rent, and you can pay them back next week, but it doesn't matter that you can pay them back next week because you've never been able to go to these people for anything. And you guys, you want to call somebody who asks for help that doesn't have family, you want to call them a mooch. When you ask your family for help, is that being a mooch? When people offer it, are you mooching? See, that's the thing with Shannon Alvarado. Rick McCormick wanted to get on here and call me a mooch. No, Shannon Alvarado knew that I didn't have an income anymore. She knew it's because she didn't fucking speak up. She made zero fucking effort to do so. She also knew that she had invited me, that I was there to do what it is that she had claimed if I went there that she would help me with, and she literally never did. She took 30 photographs in a 4-hour period of my evidence, but she just wouldn't shut the fuck up. I can't get anything done if you won't shut the fuck up. There's a lot of times where I sat down to show somebody evidence and they just wouldn't shut the fuck up. They're telling me about God and everybody else's fucking problems. They're literally not focusing on what it is that needs to be fucking done. Now with Molly, they let that get out of hand. The police let that get out of hand. The police let it get that far. Me being punished with that situation over at Fred Meyer, yeah, they don't go bother people on the corner unless somebody goes in and complains that that person is being naughty. But people aren't going in and complaining to the people in Fred Meyer that I'm being naughty. If it weren't for Molly trying to break into the fucking building, well, Rob wouldn't have come out to talk to me. If those cops had fucking done something on the multiple occasions where I had spoken to them, it wouldn't have gotten that far. If Tom wasn't such a little bitch, you tell me, but you won't tell the fucking cops? No, you manipulated me, motherfucker. That's not okay. You took advantage of me, knowing that I have physical disabilities, knowing that I have financial disabilities. Oh, Jesus fuck. Some asshole who doesn't give a fuck about me just posted up on my timeline because it's my birthday. I don't exist the rest of the year, but he gets a Facebook notification and magically I exist one day out of the fucking year. This is the friends I have. These aren't friends. These are people who don't give two shits. I need you to speak up. I know you got your own problems. Instead of telling me about your own goddamn problems, if it's not something that you want my help with, don't tell me. Don't waste my fucking time. If you don't want help with it, don't tell me. I'm not getting a hold of you to fucking listen to all your goddamn problems. I'm getting a hold of you because I need help stopping abuse that is ongoing. If you want help with your shit, I'm fine with helping you. But so far, every one of these bitches has shown me that, yeah, they don't give a fuck about me. They give a fuck about them and only them. They don't see it as mooching when they ask for help. And you know, that situation with Mandy Singer, she could have tried actually speaking out. After she realized what a fucked up situation it is, she could have actually taken the time to speak out. Actually put some honest effort into it. Now, seeing all the stuff that she had to go through there, yeah, I understand why she didn't have much time. The fact that the police and their fucking actions and Leslie Snell's actions repeatedly put me and my loved ones at risk in Chapel, Nebraska. Forced me to stay in the house feeling as if I was under fucking siege, because this is the thing, folks. These are the officers that I'd been trying to turn in since 2018, you son of a bitches. These are the same officers that did everything that they could, including running around to everybody in town saying I was schizophrenic. How many of my friends took a look? If Dallas Richmond was my friend, he would have taken a look. But he was too busy getting drunk and mooching. That's right, I had to pay his rent. If I didn't pay his rent, he loses his place. He ends up homeless. I end up homeless. I didn't have a vehicle at the time, now did I? Fuck no, I didn't. As long as I paid that rent, I had a quasi-almost safe place for my evidence, pending his alcoholism and outbursts. He didn't outburst at me. When he was outbursting, when he was screaming and yelling because he was fucking frustrated, it was always over Harley. Always. And yes, he fucking screamed and shouted very loud. And no, it was not directed at me. He was just venting. There's a point where you need to understand that somebody is being actually abused. This isn't a venting thing because Harley drank the last year fucking vodka and now she's hitting you up for more. I needed help with a place where I could sit down and go through this evidence and get it sent to where it needed to go. I never had that. Ever. Now, if you look at my videos, you can see the point where I'm actually able to get stuff done versus when I'm not. That's the problem with Dallas, is that I had to not do anything while I was there most of the time. And he was there most of the time when he lost his job due to laziness. His laziness was because he was depressed. But his family actually helped him out to have a place of his own. My family, nowhere even near. All they were interested in was my money. My dad had this thing in his head since he found out I was autistic, that I was some Rain Man who was gonna magic him up millions of dollars. Matter of fact, when I went up there about the Natalie situation and he promised me he was gonna look at evidence, he spent literally all of his time trying to fucking get me to do this forex.com thing, just like the last scheme. Always some fucking scheme with my dad. Helping me out? No. Trying to pull together another scheme to fucking abuse his son and his son's abilities. He doesn't even know what fucking abilities I have. He watched Rain Man, so I must be one of those guys. No, I'm not. Oh, I'm gonna kill that fucking fly. Told you. There's the second one. Here's the first one. Sean wouldn't hurt a fly. Oh, fuck yes, I would. Things are annoying as fuck. Do I kill them because they're annoying? No, I kill them because they're fucking disgusting. I'd absolutely hurt a fly. I've had enough dogs that got their ears chewed up and ended up at the rescue with only half their ears because the rest of them were eaten up by flies. I don't have any respect for flies. When it comes to friends, if your friends aren't willing to make the time to tell the truth, knowing that you're being fucking abused, they're not your friends. Brandon Ratner, regardless of how much money he wasted He never came forward. If he'd have come forward, that money wouldn't have ever needed to be spent. But instead, just like the rest of these goddamn cunts, he was too much of a fucking bitch to come forward. I had to fucking have a conversation with him and record it and post it on fucking YouTube. Many conversations. Always the same. Yeah, they know this shit's going on, but of course there's always 10,000 excuses why they can't come forward. Meanwhile, the cops wrote whatever the fuck they wanted. And I was abused over what the fucking cops wrote down. And they only got away with it because you, choosing to be a complete and total fucking piece of shit, never bothered to even try going in with me to turn it in. You fucking pieces of shit. Happy birthday to me. I'm still hoping for a bullet through my brain by the end of the day. We'll see if I'm that lucky.